Welcome back to the channel. My name is Crawford. This is Virginia's for Lowriders. This weekend, we're knocking some stuff out. I've actually came out here, surprisingly, every night since Sunday last weekend. I've spent at least an hour to 4 hours out here every night. Last night, I was able to get the final coat on the frame, meaning the first couple nights I spent the entire time grinding and sanding and smoothing, finish welding, and getting the frame completely finished up in the rear. And so far, it's turned out really good. I will add the footage of me doing all of that stuff, just some time-lapse stuff. But so far, it's turned out pretty awesome. So I'm trying to keep the ball rolling. I'd like to get the rear end painted. I want to get the 3-link painted and start assembling everything while that stuff is drying. So we're going to get the air tank mounted, we're going to get the compressors mounted, potentially the battery, which I probably will have to modify my battery tray for a potentially smaller battery because I'm not sure if the one that I picked out is going to work out. So yeah, check this out. It has turned out pretty awesome. This is the Duplicolor rattle can bedliner stuff. I've mentioned it in previous videos. The last time the truck was here, when it belonged to a friend of mine, I did the rear frame rails, like part of it in this. I did the entire firewall and tubs in this stuff. And that was going on 2 years ago now. And that stuff's pretty tough. Like trying to take it back off so I could redo the tubs was a task. As long as you let the stuff cure and dry and set up to where it's 100% done doing its thing, it's some tough stuff. I'm not going to say it's anywhere close to something that you get done professionally at like a shop through like a whole process. But for stuff like this, it's not too bad. It has a really nice light texture to it. It's not real crazy like a legit bed liner. Like my truck has like rhino lining in it. It's super deep texture. This is a light texture, and it's the look I was going for. Because the end goal with this truck, which I don't think I've ever discussed, I want it to resemble some, I don't know. Well, maybe I'll make an entire video about that if y'all are interested where I want to go with it. The end goal. I've been trying to find, well, actually trying to get somebody that I know through friends of friends to do a rendering for me so I can show y'all exactly what I'm going to go for. But he's a busy guy, so I'm just waiting for a word back from him so he can let me know how much money to charge me to knock out a rendering. So I want it to have some ruggedness to it along with the 4-wheel drive sheet metal. So that'll be a slight insight of where we're going to go with this. The only thing that I found was weird, and it didn't happen the last time when I did the fender wells and the frame rail and everything else, is the amount of overspray that turned into a powder when it hit the ground is crazy. I know this is probably terrible for me to touch, but it's the texture of sand. This stuff is completely dry by the time it hits the floor, and all I did was sweep it up, as you can see. But this is wild. I could probably fill a whole spray can with the stuff that came off the ground. But we're gonna keep the ball rolling. So one of the first things I need to tackle, I couldn't find the exhaust hangers that I originally bought to do this project because that's how it seemed like it's going with everything on this. I keep having to rebuy stuff because the amount of hoarding and, I don't know, disorganization of things at my house stuff gets lost. It'll get used on another project. I have a ton of projects after this one, which we again will discuss later on. So I purchased, if you watched last week's video, I bought these and I made mounts for them. They're little hot rod exhaust hangers. I put 2 of them on there. There is one right here at the back of the cab, one right here at the center point of the frame. There is a factory style like this, just a hook thing hanging off the frame. I have some stainless steel rod that I bought specifically to do this project, so I don't want to waste it. Again, there's 5 projects behind this one that will all get stainless steel exhaust. I don't normally care about matching stuff, but I bought these to match the other little clamp things. Yeah, I don't know. We're gonna make one of these work in the middle, hopefully tonight. It's Thursday night, so we're getting a head start. Like I said, I've been working all week. Usually, it's just some weekend warrior type stuff. It's the only time I really get time to come out here and concentrate on this because my ADD doesn't allow me to come home and go straight to work because I get straight away with doing other things. So I've actually been managing to stay on track, trying to get like, again, we're trying to make it to mini nats. I really hope it happens. And like I said before, if it comes down to it, I'll rent a car and just drive down there to hang out with y'all. I'm really, really trying to get the truck there. I will be there, guaranteed. Doesn't matter if I have to bum a ride or car, or hopefully my daily driver makes it down there. Whatever happens, I'll be there. Hopefully the truck will be there. Let's just get to work. It's Thursday. It's like 7:30 and I wake up at 5 something. So we need to hustle. It's supposed to be 60 something degree, or no, almost 70 degrees tomorrow. So the rear end will definitely need to get painted tomorrow because it's going to start dropping in temperature again because Virginia is crazy. All of the 3-link stuff, wherever it's at, needs to get painted tomorrow. I got a lot of work to do. A whole lot of work. So let's stop rambling. Let the ADD just carry our way through this like we've been doing every weekend. And hopefully we'll make some, at least some like visually pleasing progress. Like we've been doing wiring and little tiny stuff lately. I like the big stuff, like the stuff that you can clearly see, and I'm just gonna shut up. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna work. Tackling the traditional exhaust mount. That's what we'll call it. So this is what we have to work with. This is, I mean, I could make one somewhere else. I'm just utilizing something that's already there. This is a factory mount. It's already welded on the frame. And again, I still need to notch this, which I will do when I pull this out to fully weld everything. So this guy easily fits on here, which gives us pretty much no room to work with because I mounted the exhaust directly below it. But the whole idea behind this is it's going to be supported by its weight because it's already being held up and completely supported by the like hot rod mounts. I want this here as extra. Like if something was to go wrong, there's something else grabbing this. So the header, this pipe weighs pretty much nothing. There's no muffler, there's no catch, there's nothing in here. It probably weighs maybe 5 pounds, 6 pounds ish. So the header in the front is a main support, which there's nothing but sheet metal up there to potentially hold this from. The main weight of it is beyond that hanger on that side of the hanger. Where's where the muffler goes. And then there's another hanger directly behind that. So all of the main weight is completely supported. This is peace of mind, I guess. So what we're going to do is take a piece of TIG rod and bend it into the shape, and then transfer that shape into the stainless steel rod, hold that up in there, tack weld it in place, and then go from there. Again, if for whatever reason the V-band came off the header, this will grab the exhaust and keep it from hitting the ground. And actually, I can probably do this. Actually, I got an idea. We'll figure this out. So, actually, if I was to push this around the corner of that factory mount, it's completely out of the way. And I can come around, up, and then into this. That way, it would have to be kind of hung into the hanger rather than just the hanger slipping on it to where, yeah, I think that'll work better. So we're going to take this, you can use a coat hanger, and I do this same exact thing when it comes to non-stainless exhaust. Again, I don't work with stainless very often. This is all new to me, but I do this. I've built a lot of exhausts, and I just buy 3/8 rod, just 3/8 round bar, and bend it up just like this. So what I'm trying to achieve here is a nice gradual swoop that holds the pipe. If you just straight up weld it to the side, it will eventually rip it off from vibration. If you do it this way to where it cradles it and it's just holding it rather than holding the weight by the sheet metal portion of it, it's going to be stronger. So we're going to take this weird shape and turn this into some 3/8 round bar. It's not the exact curve, but it's pretty close. I also put a little angle. Let's see if we can actually see that. Angle down to keep it actually retained on the end of the bushing here. So something like that. I didn't get the curve exactly right, but that stainless steel is pretty tough. And I really didn't want to heat it up with a torch. Normally, what I would normally do is I've always clamped it to a piece of tubing that's the same size as the exhaust, heat it with a torch, and then bent it around the tubing. I was trying not to do that with the stainless steel to still retain the good looks without having to go back and repolish it. So curve is sacrificed a little bit. I'll give you an example of if the V-band was to come off, this thing's still suspended. Not gonna fall down or anything. Alright, it's Friday. I was out here till almost 10 o'clock last night. Got the rear end pulled apart. At first I wasn't going to take the rear end apart, and then I got thinking about it, and I'm like, am I really going to take the rear end apart after it's painted later on down the road? And potentially just scratch all the stuff that I did, even though it really doesn't matter because it's cheap paint anyway. Probably not. To be truthful, I probably would never touch it ever again. So, I pulled the axles out. I got my old Chilton manual. I'm going to see how these brakes need to be adjusted. Slap some new wheel seals in, because that's why I took it apart, because the wheel seals were leaking into the drums on the passenger side. So, we're going to try and stuff those in there real quick. It's already like 8 o'clock. I took the time when I got home to edit and relax for a little bit before I spent half the night out here. So that's the plan. Try to put some wheel seals in an axle that I've never taken apart before. And we'll see how that goes. I picked up some primer on the way home. So just some cheap rattle can stuff to paint the rear, paint the 3-link and all that other stuff. So I'm going to attempt to get my paint stand set up to potentially hold the 3-link in place to prime it. If I can get it primed within 30 minutes of that primer, I think I can put paint on it. So I can at least get the 3-link painted tonight. Not necessarily the rear end. It's supposed to get up to like 55-ish tomorrow, which isn't ideal, but if I paint it with the door open and I try to hurry up and shut everything and not ruin my mini split, I can get the garage back up to temperature and hopefully not ruin the paint that I just put on. So we're going to stop rambling. I'm going to read a little bit to make sure that I actually want to tackle this project, because it's not too far just to put it back together the way it was. And then hopefully we can get these wheel seals in, yada, 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 get some stuff done. But I'm going to show you the wheels that I talked about in the beginning of the video real quick. My buddy dropped them off tonight. It might be a good potential candidate for a new wheel. So a buddy of mine had one of these trucks. It wasn't body dropped, on the exact same wheels with the exact same bed, and when it lays out, the offset's a little off. So the wheel or the tire touches the inside of the body just a little bit. So I've been debating on narrowing the rear end just a little bit. I really don't want to get into all that, and I really am not totally sold on those wheels. What I've been looking for is a steel version of an Armada or Titan wheel. They sell an 18-inch steely, and I've been looking for one of those, but I haven't found one. It's a specific one from like a 2022, 23, something like that. So every wheel that I've came across is kind of temporary. The truck came with the Titans, which they're brand new. The tires are brand new. They probably got a couple thousand miles on them, if that. I bought those other wheels in hopes the offset's better. I couldn't find an exact offset online for some reason with the information that I needed to make sure that it would work, and I got them really cheap. So let's bring one of those in here and we'll talk about that real quick. So in total, I got 5 of these. These are they came off of a 2022 or 23 Bronco something. I don't know anything about Broncos, but they're an 18-inch wheel. It's the exact same hub diameter, so apparently you don't even have to grind these or grind the truck like you would on anything else with a Mazda. So if you have a factory Mazda, I believe the hard bodies are the same way. They have little tabs the hub rides on to make them hub-centric wheels. Normally you would have to either grind the truck or bore out the wheel. Apparently these will bolt, from what I've read, these will bolt directly on our trucks without any of that. So I need to try to measure the offset, or just continue to read about it, or just test fit one of these and see if they fit on there. But just looking at the wheel, the offset seems better. I'm not totally sold on the look of the wheel. They're a little bit too modern for what I'm going for on the truck, but they're temporary. Anything that I've put on there so far is temporary. until I either find the steelies that I want or some baby billets. And I can't hold the camera against my face. So I think I'm going to set one on the front end and jack up the wheel just to check for clearances, try to measure one. And I'm going to stop talking because I've done it so much in this video. I apologize. Way too much. All right, it is Saturday. I was out here until 2:30 last night. This rear end kicked my butt. At first, I started taking it apart and pulled the axles out. One of the sides kind of sprung up. I thought that was kind of weird. It seemed like it had a lot of tension on it. Digging more into it, the passenger side had a brand new axle in it at some point, somewhat recently, because the axle had zero rust on the hub or anything. It's clearly been replaced. When they replaced it, it didn't look like they replaced the seal on the inside or the outside. So apparently there's like a debate if this is supposed to have grease or not on the bearings. To me, I would say yes, because there is a seal here stopping oil from transferring from the tube further into the axle hub. And there's a seal on the outside, which tells me they want to retain the grease in this end because there's no way for the oil to travel to the grease. There was no grease at all on that side. And this side clearly had never been taken apart because of the rust and the funkiness. And it was absolutely packed full of really old burnt up grease. So after taking it apart and assembling it, one thing, I forgot the spacer. I was in a rush, was trying to throw it back together. Looked in the bottom of the drain pan and I found the spacer, and I'd already put the bearing on there, so I had to take the bearing back off, put a spacer on, put the bearing back on, which was a pain in the butt. And then I ran into the reason why there was so much tension behind that side is they never re-shimmed it for that length of that axle. So I took the one side on and off probably 6 times and adjusted the bearing to try to get the correct play. Man, it was a pain in the butt. But I finally got it in primer, and it looks pretty good. There are a couple nicks and imperfections on the main tube because this thing had a really terrible really terrible reverse 4-link welded to it. I don't know. I was already at the point where I was in the sanding stage, not in the grinding and welding stage, and I didn't care to fill those tiny little divots. Outside of those, it looks great. You can kind of see where the old tabs were. It'll all blend in when it's black. All of my fab work looks really good. All the welds are pretty clean. I did make these little tabs in here last night, so this thing can get scuffed with a Scotch-Brite and sprayed today. The primer is looking nice and smooth. So it is like mid-50s. Hopefully we'll be alright on the paint. I think it's supposed to be warmer than that, but we're going to cross our fingers. I need to clean, obviously, because I made a hell of a mess last night. I'm going to bring that wheel in real quick and show y'all because I forgot to. Because I was just in the I'm going to get this done mode last night. And that's the mode we need to be in today. I need to start knocking stuff out. I need to get some paint on this stuff so I can go back to hopefully like bolting stuff on the truck. I was hoping to have everything painted last night so I could bolt all that to the truck. I'm not sure if that's going to happen yet. We're working towards it. We'll see what happens. I'm going to grab a wheel, actually this time, throw it on the front end and see what it looks like. So I know it looks kind of goofy because there's no tire on it and it doesn't look like it fills the wheel well very well. It actually says on the back of these wheels. The other ones are like Chinese remans. Even though they say Nissan on the back, they're like eBay Titans. It doesn't give me the offset of those. This says 18 by 7 plus 55. I can already tell that I have tons more room, and I can probably actually fix my camber with these rather than running as much camber as I am for the other ones to fit. I think that's going to work. The tire will be close, but I think the offset will work better. Like I said, it's not really the style of wheel that I was desiring, but I just want something that I don't have to cut up the entire bed just to make the wheel fit and then turn around and find a billet wheel that I actually like and have to change it later. Whoa. So I was picking up the whole truck. Yeah, I think that'll work. Alright, everything is painted. Hopefully it doesn't take too terribly long to dry. I know it's probably not going to dry sitting outside. My buddy James is coming by in a little bit to help me carry that in. I've been trying to clean up this mess, and that took the ADD just ran with that, which turned into me filling my truck up with some trash and burning a bunch of boxes and stuff. And yeah, it's like a couple hours went by, so we didn't start putting stuff back on the truck yet, but ADD calmed a little bit because I don't keep looking out of the corner of my eye at all the crap that's in front of my garage. So he'll be by. I'm gonna carry all that stuff in, and we're gonna get starting to assemble. That's the plan. I'm gonna start, see if I need to clean up this tank at all. Well, I know that I need to clean it, but see if I need to respray it because it's been banging around in the garage for a while. Get the air compressors out and clean those up because I know for a fact, because those things are, if you have electric air compressors and you're doing stuff like this, you also know they have literal magnets in them, and every little shaving in your garage when you're grinding sticks to them, so I need to clean those up. I'll try to get those two plumbed together, maybe get the bags hung in here. We're just going to start assembling. That's the plan. I know this video is getting long, and I know I rambled a lot, but hopefully y'all get something out of it. Yeah, I'm just gonna do that. I gotta dig through all of this to find all of the parts. Everything wasn't a tote. Yeah, I'm just gonna stop talking. We're gonna do the thing. Yeah, these. I'll show you. I got an idea. We're gonna make it one stand rather than two.
Oh, I see. We'll pick that up, the broom up, put it on.
See what's the HMS like. Yeah, Mac is in between flat and satin. That's how it works. So this is what I was referring to with the magnetic compressors. And when it's like this, don't try to push all of that off because you will scratch the crap out of them. We're actually putting parts back on the truck. It's unbelievable. It's only been 5 years that we've been making these videos. And oh, got a little bit on my pants. We're actually starting to finalize some stuff. It's amazing. That wrench is covered. I didn't realize it was still on. Turns off after 5 minutes. I can set that to any time, but it just kills the battery sitting there and idling.
It's got a big cam.
Yes, that kind of idling.
It'd be cool to have fuck you money and buy one of those Colt Stage 2 cams for these trucks. Just to see if it makes a difference.
I think it would be really cool to do a Miata swap. Like, I look for Miatas constantly on Marketplace.
It's like 150 horsepower compared to 90.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. Fuel injected. You can actually buy parts for it. You can order a turbo kit or a header. Or
Well, that's what my dad was talking about when we were talking about Miata swap. He said, hell, I'm going to Miata swap. Put turbo in.
Some of the Miata dudes make like 3 something. What am I going to do? Make the same power as the Miata swap? And the motor would be at the ragged edge all the time. Yeah.
So like, say I Miata swapped mine, naturally aspirated, you turbojets, we go out and race, and it's just dead even the whole way. But you're over there like, whoosh, whoosh, like.
Yeah.
I'm over there just sipping my tea, like the motor's not on the edge of blowing up.
Sometimes I'd be forgetting that I'm supposed to be showing people.
Like, hey guys, welcome back to the channel.
starting to look like something, man.
Big heaping.
Pile of poopy.
Yes. No, it looks good.
GoPro, stop recording. Careful you don't scratch the candy paint.
Oh, did I drop? I dropped it.
Can't believe you, man. I invite you into my home. You need to say my wife's name correctly.
Oh, these have a swivel? Mm-hmm. Man.
High class, man. Highfalutin.
It's kind of flush because between the rails and the frame. Like it doesn't sit up.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Well, I was limited on space the first time.
a little soft floor.
Yeah. I'm gonna set the other one up there at the same time. One thing I did want to do, which I don't have to do right now, I want to wrap this portion of the exhaust.
With heat tape.
I have exhaust wrap, which this part I can just pull off at any point.
To keep the heat from getting on the compressors and the tank.
Well, just here.
Just
From the shock. There's a shock in the bag. Sometimes I'd be forgetting that I'm supposed to be showing people.
Okay, guys. Welcome back to the channel.
It's starting to look like something, man.
Big heaping.
Pile of poopy.
Yes. No, it looks good.
Alright, it is Sunday. We wrapped it up at like 11 last night, I think. Got the rear end in, which I realized after editing this morning that I never actually recorded showing y'all the rear. So, you have a little overview here. It came out really nice. Has a really nice sheen to it. This is matte black. I'll show y'all the actual brand here in a second. Before I forget, it is just magic tractor paint from Tractor Supply. Like I'd said in the previous video, I've used this stuff to paint my skid steer, and I've used it to paint my frame table and some chairs and my buddy's skid steer. And once it fully dries, which it takes a while, even if you read the can, it's like there's a lot of time in between those things, in between drying and priming and all that. Once it dries, it's pretty tough. That's actually what's on the back cab wall, because the truck was going to be satin black before I purchased it. So I painted the back cab wall before I sent it on its way last time. So yeah, let me finish up what I was explaining. The bars turned out great. Again, they have a nice sheen. So it's dry to the touch, but it is super, super soft still. So I'm not going to mess with this today. I probably will wait to put the bushings in, because you basically have to beat the bushings in, or press the bushings in to the 4-link bars. So I don't want to risk scratching the crap out of them, because I already scratched the crap out of this one on this tote thing. So that's pretty cool. So we'll just we'll put that to the inside. But overall, they came out really nice. Everything looks pretty good. And progress. Crazy actual visual progress. It's not another weekend of me doing the same thing, and you can't even tell when I'm done when I go in the house at the end of the weekend. We got a good bit done. I need to respray the tank because it's covered in scratches from being beat around the garage for the last 6 months or 8 months, whatever, however long it's been off. But the exhaust is hung in place. The bags are in place. Like I discussed before, like this can move around, but I'd like to wrap this in the header wrap, which I have here. I actually bought to do that. And I bought that to do any key spots that might happen to get hot while you're driving. So I can just pull the exhaust off and wrap that part to hopefully prevent some of it from coming through the cab. But the exhaust is fully bolted on. I didn't record it on camera. But I did clearance for the drive shaft. It's kind of hard to tell, but there's actually room in between here. It can't physically move up any further, so it's really tight, but it'll never come into contact. Even if I was to bang this on something, it would bend the pipe because the pipe can't go up anymore. So that's finished up. And yeah, I think that's probably gonna do it because we're already at like 40 minutes, and I'm kind of at a standstill because all of that stuff can't really be touched, and that's the next step, is to put all that back together. So this week, while that's still drying, I'm gonna finally finish up the wiring because I have that little bit of engine stuff to do. I have that little bit to do here. Finish up the wiring in this portion. I need to start tackling fuel lines, getting all of this stuff fully bolted on, and like really buttoning this up. We're gonna wire in the coil and the distributor and all of this stuff. A lot of really small details. And one super potentially exciting thing, the interior guy called me yesterday to confirm the pattern that he wants to stitch into the seat. So potentially I might have a seat next week and door cards. So that would be really exciting. If that's the case, if I get those sometime during this week, I can pick up paint like I've been trying to do, but it's expensive. I can pick up paint and paint the door jambs. That way, if all of the door jambs are painted, and I don't know, I was debating on painting the roof and all that stuff, but if I at least get the door jambs painted, I can put the carpet in and never have to worry about taking the carpet back out. So, yeah, that's the plan. We're actually making progress. We're chipping away at it. It actually looks like we're doing something finally. And I think we're wrapping it up for the day. I'm going to take today off. I've been working nonstop all week, so yeah. I'll see y'all next Sunday. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to do the normal subscribing and liking and all the normal YouTube stuff. And yeah, we're just going to stop rambling again, and I'll see y'all next week.